Papa Amar, here is the story which we derive from the book of Vayikra, Leviticus chapter 24. It was a fellow that cursed, and obviously it was with all the details involved with the serious desecrations of the Torah law. So they brought it before Moses, and he was in a special mishmar, in a special occasion, until the verdicts come up. So they said, Moshe heicha havaktiv yativ. The question is, where exactly the biblical Moses was sitting? Which means, since we talk about the blasphemer, the fellow that in our way, quote unquote, bless the Almighty, what exactly the matter was brought? Where exactly the location of Moses and his court reside? So they said, B'machane Leviyah, as we explained yesterday, it was 3 different camps. One of them is the camp of Levites. Why? Because they said in the book of Bamidbar, book of Numbers, chapter 3, verse 38, they said that the camp was before the tabernacle, V'achonim lifnei mishkan kedma, lifnei oel mohed mizracha Moshe. So V'amar lerachamana, the Almighty said in the book of Vayikra, chapter 24, Hotze et ha-mekalel el michutz lamachane. Take the blasphemer whose curse outside of the camp. So what does that mean, outside? Chutz lemachane leviyah, out of the Levi's camp. Why? Because they said, another pasuk, another verse, they said, Vayotziu et ha-mekalel mechutz lamachane. Then they said that they brought him the curse out of the camp, and then the Torah speaks about him be stones, so that he was taken outside, or michutz lemachane Yisrael, which is the outside of the Israelite camp. So how come? So they said, Hai mi bayale la'asiyah, which means the fulfillment of this obligation, the implications, the implementations of God's instruction, which is that the Jewish people did de facto carry out God's command, but this pasuk should be understood as referring to an additional camp. So therefore, so you don't have another hotza'ah, another time that they put him out. So they said the implementations of God's instruction is written explicitly, because they said asiyah behediyah ktiv. And before we continue, I'd like to mention an important Maharit. Maharit lives at the time of the Bet Yosef. So he asked a question about the sanctity of Yerushalayim based on our discussion. He tried to say that there are two separate entities, separate kedusha, sanctity in Yerushalayim. One is the time of Yehoshua bin Nun, the Joshua, the whole concept of having a wall, and the other one is just the sanctity of Ir HaKodesh, the sanctification of the city by itself. So he asked a question, how about Gagot ve'aliyot, how you treated attics or roof in Yerushalayim, if they itkadshu be'ira mukefet choma, if they being sanctified in those cities that have walls around the cities. There is a big mahalach, it's a big discussion in the book called Or Sameach, based on this Gemara, that he tried to bring about the idea that only people who live on the first floor, because nowadays they have in Yerushalayim, obviously we don't have the Beit HaMikdash yet, but you have in Yerushalayim big residential buildings. So the Or Sameach tried to bring a malach that the level of sanctity apply mainly or even solely people who live at the first floor of those buildings. But the Meshech Chochmah, one of the commentators of the 19th century in Parashat Behar, he tried to bring the Sifri in Parashat Shlach. They said, Vayu Bnei Israel, that the people did not observe the Shabbat, the first, the second Shabbat. So Vayimteu ish mekoshesh etzim. They found a fellow that he collected the woods. So he tried to say that the whole concept of a Levites that have a separate camp, as we discussed, we have to differentiate between the time before receiving the Torah and after receiving the Torah. He said, El Michutz Lamachaneh, when the Torah referring to bring the one who collect the wood outside of the camp, that's outside of the camp of Israel. But when it's come to the one who's the blasphemers, the one who curse, that's after they place the flags, and after the flags in the tribe of Dan was placed. So therefore, based on that midrash in Vayikra Rabbah, chapter 34, that's the idea of Hotzeh, that you bring him out of the camp of Levites, and the camp of Israel, it's written El Michutz Lamachaneh. 43, Uvnei Yisrael asu ka'asher tziva Hashem et Moshe. The children of Israel followed the commandment that the Lord commanded Moshe Rabbeinu. So that's part of the pasuk of the verse. It wants to tell us that the children of Israel follow exactly the way that they are commanded, including taking the blasphemer, the one who cursed, outside of the camp. So what they said earlier in the pasuk, "Vayotziu et hamekalel mechutz hamachaneh," they brought out the blasphemer outside of the camp. That appear superfluous. So we can derive from that it was out of the other camp, the third one, the camp of Israel. So the Gemara asks a question: Ela me'ata, if you tell me that there is a part of the verse that is superfluous and you can derive from that something else, you can ask a question. The pasuk said, "Vayirgemu oto aven." They said that they stoned him with the stones. So it's the words appear to be superfluous, and even without them, we will know that God's instruction was to stone the blasphemer. Basically, were implemented. So what then do they serve to teach? So they said, "My avdeile." So they said, "Ahu mibayla lichdetanya." You derive from that, "Vayirgemu oto aven." So the pasuk did not say "Vayirgemu hu." The Malbim explained. They don't say that they stone him. They use the word, and they stone him with the stone. The word "him" teaches that they stoned him alone while he was naked. Oto velo bichsuto. Aven she'imet ve'even achat yatza. Also by using the term of singular stones, so whether they use the plural term of stones, so we learn from that if the person passed away after being stuck with one stone, it's already the court fulfill his obligations. And the Rambam tell us in the Ilchot Sanhedrin, chapter 15, he says, when they commanded man is stoned to death, he is stoned while naked. If he dies from the first stone that is cast upon him, the rabbinic court has fulfilled its obligations. So now we ask a question: why you need both? V'itzterich lemichtav aven, v'itzterich lemichtav avanim. We need to write it in both, in singular, aven, one stone, and we need to write it in the plural, avanim, which is when the children of Israel found someone in the desert that collected wood on Shabbat. So the Torah said in the book of Bamidbar, chapter 15, verse 35, Ragom oto ba'avanim, you stone him with stones. So they said, Di'ikatav rachmana aven, if the Torah was put in writing just singular word of singular one stone, Hava amina heicha de lo met bachad al nite acharite umikatlei. We may think that, for example, if the stone was too small, or the person Yad Ramah said was very strong, and he didn't die from one single stone, that's enough. We don't take more and do it. Katav rachmana avanim. So that's the reason why it's written in plural, to teach us, no, it's not one, it's until he died. Ve'i katav rachmana avanim. And if the Almighty writes in the Torah the plural word for stones, Hava amina mi'ikara naitei tartei. We may think that at the first part of the execution we should take 2 and more in order to stone the person. Katav Rachmana aven. So therefore, the Torah said that we should have 1 stone. So 1 stone, so meaning if he is not dead by 1 stone, then you add more stones, and that's based on what we're going in Nezikin to study in the Mishnah, page 45, that the second witness among the two takes the stones and place it on the hearts. So if the person passed away, he fulfilled his obligation. Otherwise, the whole children of Israel, the whole community needs to do it. That's the way Rashi explains. The derivative, as the Rambam explained in Perusha Mishnayot, page 52, that we have in the Leviticus 19, the pasuk ve'ahavta lere'acha kamocha, love thy neighbor as thyself. So the sages in page 45 teaches us that bro lo mita yafa, try to find the most convenience way for him to die. So therefore we use 1 stone, and because that's much less pain than many, and only if he is not dead yet, then you add more. That's the way the Rambam in Perusha Mishnayot explained to us.
So the Gemara asks, "Veha haitana ne'emar ka'amar." So they ask a question, but this Tana in the Braita said that it said michutz lamachane ne'emar here in the Parim Nisrafim, in the burning bulls, that it has to be out of the camp. So the Gemara responds, so how come Rav Papa, the question is, how come Rav Papa, which is Amorah, brings 1 source to that and disputed the Tana of the Braita? So the Gemara said, Ilu lo ne'emar ka'amar vehachi ke'amar. Ilu lo ne'emar kra. הייתי אומר גזירה שווה, עכשיו נאמר קרא גזירה שווה לא צריך. So because it's, if the pasuk, it doesn't say that you have to do it outside of the Beit HaSkila, outside of the 3 camps, we may say that by verbal analogy, by the gzera shava, we can derive it. So now, since it said it clearly in the pasuk, so therefore the verbal analogy is no needed. So anyway, the Gemara in Nedarim in page 3 said that anyway you have it. The Ran explains the Torah said it anyway, because the Gemara in Bava Metzia also in 61 explained Milta de Atya begzera shava tarach v'katav lakra. So it means that sometimes the Torah brings a special rules, special deans, even they don't need to say it only by the gzera shava. Obviously, there is other explanation. There is a book called Asafat Zkenim that elaborates here how you derive the concept of Gzera Shava, Chamra v'Chayeh as well. It was a great rabbi in Poland, whose name is Rabbi Yeshaya Muscat. He was a friend of the Chidushei Harim, the Ger Rebbe. So he asked a general question about the Mekalel and the Mekoshesh. In the Mekalel, we said that 1 oven, as we explained, 1 stone. Mekoshesh, the one who gathered the wood on Shabbat, we said it was stones, many. So he explained when it's come to Mekalel, the one who's a blasphemer, everyone was against him. It was a concept of many Kanaim, of many people who oppose him very strongly. So therefore, you have kind of 1 unity in 1 oven. Versus when it's come to the blasphemer, the one who gathered the wood, it's Tzlofchad, and he did it on Shabbat. It was a big disputation what to do and how. So therefore, they use the term of avanim, many. Rav Ashi Amar, Moshe heicha hava yativ. He asked a question, where exactly Moses was sitting when the matter of the blasphemer was brought before him. because he was Levi. So they said, "B'machane Leviya," in the camp of the Levites. V'amar lerachamana, the Torah said in the book of Vayikra, chapter 24, verse 14, "Hotze et amakalel," take the person who cursed. So it means that Moses needs to take him outside of his location. Chutz lemachane Leviya, outside of the Levi camp, which is into the Israelite camp. El michutz lemachane, chutz lemachane Israel, which means that they have to take him out of the camp of Israel. But what they said in the second pasuk in Vayikra 24, verse 23, Vayotziu et hamekalel, and they brought him the one who's cursed. So that's basically la'asiyah, to the implementation, which is follow the God instruction that the Bnei Israel did the fact carry out the Almighty commandment to do it. So that's basically the implementation. Gemarrah v'chayei, the book on this tractate, elaborate and explain what and how exactly Rav Papa here explained the concept. Asiyah behedya ktiv behu, when it's come to implementation of God's instructions, is written explicitly in this context, because they said in the pasuk, "Uvnei Israel asu ka'asher tziva Hashem et Moshe." And they said the children of Israel did as the Lord commanded Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses. So basically, before they did the skila, the stoning, everyone placed their hand and they push him out of the second floor. Hahumi baile lismicha lidchiya velidchiya. So that part of the pasuk applies to both the idea of placing the hands, as we said, and pushing from the high 2 stories. Amru leRabbanan leRav Ashi ledidach, according to your view that you use the term hotze independently, mechutz lamachane, it's a separate, which means that it was from different camps. Kol hanei hotzi dechtivei befarim anisrafim. All that concept of hotze, that to take out, that's written in regards to bulls that brought as sin offering, that are burned. Mai darash tabehu. So he left it kashya, because you can derive from the way you understand it, from these 2 words, vehotzi, you can derive other things. And we do not have something that we can derive from that. So they said kashya. Most of the Rishonim, the Rosh and others, said that it's not tiyuvta, which means that there is a answer to that. It reminds me a story about a fellow that unfortunately his father got killed in Gaza. And he was so furious, he committed himself that when the time for him to get married, this young man, he wants to show the vicious terrorists who is in charge, so he committed himself to get married in Gaza. So time passed by, and he engaged, and the question posted to the poskim, the rabbis there, what to do, because now the situation in Gaza much serious than it was before. So they some poskim try to derive from our sugiyah the concept of shiv'im amah, the 70 cubits, which call in Osen ibura shel ir, but basically michutz la'ir, outside of the city. When we derive the concept of skila, of stoning, the same mindset. So that was a big mahalach that can be done up to shiv'im amah, 70 cubit from the city, so it will not be a violation of the fellow's vows. So the Mishnah said, Echad omed, so they said that one person stands at the entrance of the court with cloth in his hand, ready to signal to the court agents leading to the command man to his execution that some doubt has been raised with respect to the latter's guilt. So Amar Rav Huna pshitali, אחד אבן שנסקל בה, ואחד עד שנסלה בו, ואחד סייף שנהרג בו, ואחד סודר שנחנק בו, כולם של ציבור. So it's all money from public. And my ta'ama dimdidelu amrinan leizel zil velaitei veliktol nafshei. Why you don't say go and bring this item from his own property and effectively kill himself? So the whole idea is that the ptila, the Meiri and Ran said it's not shaveh pruta, but basically should be from his own money. So by Ravuna, sudar shemenifim bo, v'sus sheratzu ma'amidam, mishel mihu. All these expenses, from whom it's coming from. Kevan de la hatzalat didei midideihu. So because it's basically come to save the man being led to execution, this item should be taken from his own property. Or dilma kevan de veidina mechayvin le'evad be'atzala mididu. Or because we said that the Bet Din is obligated to find all the possibility to save him, so from death, so it should be taken from the community. V'tu, and furthermore, ha de amar Rav Chia bar Rav Ashi amar Rav Chizda, ha yotze lehareg mashkin oto koret shel levona bechos rein kedei shtitarev da'ato. So they give him before execution a very serious wine in order to confuse his mind, so he will not. It's almost like in the modern days anesthesia. Shenemar, they said in the book of Proverbs, chapter 31, Tnu shechar lo'ovdei v'yain lemarei nafesh, brings, gives strong drink to him that is ready to perish, and wine to the bitter in soul. ותניא, נשים יקרות שבירושלים הן מתנדבות ומביאות אותם. So they said that certain women, prominent women in Yerushalayim, they basically donate and they do it, they bring it. So the Ben Yoyada, the Ben Ishchai explains, it's because that's compensate the sin of Chava. But so they said, לא יתנדבו נשים יקרות משל מי? הוודאי מסתברא משל ציבור, דכתיב תנו מידידהו. So it's very logical to say that it's from the community, because it's written, give strong drink in the plural. So that's basically indication that it should be from them, which is from the community. So basically the Gemara did not make a final decision over that, and it's a disputation among the Rishonim. Some, the Rambam, the Meiri, said that it's come from the community, the same way as the wine and the frankincense, the levona, came from the community. But the Rabbeinu Hananel and others said that it's not clear. So since it's not clear, we did not rule. So the 2 points. First, the story about Beit Israel, the great Gemarrah Rebbe, he used to send for people at the Shiva, people who mourn, a wine, and he, based on this, he said that Tnu sheichar la'oved v'yain lemarei nafesh. That's, he used this pasuk. But it was a case in Israel about a fellow that saw someone who's in the bad conditions, and from time to time, if he doesn't take his medications, he needs immediately to go to emergency room. So he called an ambulance, and meanwhile the person woke up and he took his pill, and he was okay. So the ambulance came, and the question is, who's going to pay? One person said, I did it for you in order to save you. The other one said, I did it for the other. There is a book called Imre Yosher, Reb Meir Arik, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. He have this write-up based on our sugya when it's come to a brit of a advanced age adult. You see also the great rabbi of Kojiklov. The question is, when you put a person to sleep, meaning you put a full anesthesia, the question is that considering proper or not? You see also in the Maharsham, because when it's come to putting someone under anesthesia, is not doesn't have the din of shlichut that we have with the regular Brit Milah. So in comparison to our Sugya, here we have situation that they executed a person who's a total drunk, and the Maharsham tried to differentiate between shlichut laharog, putting someone as a agent in order to execute it, versus shlichut le Brit Milah. So the Mishnah teaches us, if one person said that I have some merit, some zchut, so you lift up the cloth and the horse run and bring them. בעמינה רב אחא בר הונא מרב ששת. אמר אחד מן התלמידים, יש לי ללמד עליו זכות ונשתתק. One of the students find some merit to acquit a person, and he become mute, and he cannot explain himself. Mahu, do we disregard it or not? Menapach Rav Sheshet beyadei. So Rav Sheshet was basically kind of wave his hand, like don't pay attention to that. And he said, Nishtatek afilu echad besof haolam nami. So he said, if you talk about someone who's mute, so the court certainly does not pay attention to him, as were the court to concern themselves with what he said, they will have to be concerned even if it's a situation that someone is the end of the world who can propose an argument in the comments on the favor of a person. One of the famous story about Reb Nosson Adler, the teacher of the Khatam Sofer, that he started writing, and then he said that since you remember everything by heart, based on our sugya, the question is, can he write it? There was a big discussion there, if it's right or wrong to write when the person is so ingenious that remember everything. But anyway, that's the ללמד זכות ונשתתק. התם לא כאמר אחי כאמר. מאי? תשמע, דאמר רבי יוסי בר חנינא, אחד מהתלמידים שזיכה ומת, רואים אותו כאילו חי ועומד במקומו. זיכה אין, לא זיכה, לא. So it's all if we acquit the defender, otherwise not. So they said, זיקה פשיטה לי, אמר תיבאי לך. It's a story about the Chebin Rav, the rabbi of Chebin, that they brought him a question. It was a community that the rabbi put all kind of rules, who entitled to get aliyah or not. In those days it was someone who shaved, they don't give them aliyot. The rabbi passed away, and the question is, those rules still have to be abided by. So the Chebin Rav explained, look, when it's a takana, it's a takana. When the rabbi put a enactment in a community, you have to abide by that. However, he makes some variations, such as people who have a chiyuv or have a simcha, it's different, and he kind of more lenient. Afilu. So, ואפילו פעם ראשונה ושנייה, והתניא פעם ראשונה ושנייה, בין שיש ממש בדבריו, בין שאין ממש בדבריו מחזירים אותו, מכאן ואילך אם יש ממש בדבריו מחזירים אותו, אם אין ממש בדבריו אין מחזירים אותו. אמר רב פאפא, תרגומה מפעם שנייה ואילך. מנה ידעי, אמר רבי דמסרינא לזוגה דרבנן, איכא ממש בדבריו, איני לא לא, ולמסר לי מעיקרא, so they sent a pair of sages with him from the outset, even for the first time, and have them make an initial assessment of his claim. So they said, אגב דבעית לא מצי אמר כל מן דאית לי. משנה, מצאו לו זכות פטרו ואם לאו יצא להיסקל. If they find something to acquit him, they acquit him and they release him immediately, otherwise they stone him. וחרוז יוצא לפניו, איש פלוני בן פלוני יוצא להסתכל על עבירה שעבר פלונית, ופלוני ופלוני ידע, וכל מי שיודע זכות יבוא ולמד עליו. So that's the applies to other ביתות בדין, the one said as well. אמר רבי וצריך לממרה ביום פלוני ובשעת פלוני ובמקום פלוני. You need to say the exact location, the hour, the place, the location. דילמה איקא דאדיה ואתו מזים לו. Maybe there are those who are familiar and come forward and render witness conspiring witnesses. וחרוז יוצא לפניו, and the carry goes out before the condemned man. לפניו אין מעיקרא לא, which is it's come before him, yes, otherwise not. Now you shall know that from now on to the end of that part, Rabbi Segal of Manchester, he was very strong when Schattenstein published the English translation, and the censor, he has to take it out because he was concerned about anti-Semite and anti-Jewish sentiment, because of the idea to mention here Yimach Shemo V'Zichro, right? The idea of mention Jesus, that it's close to the kingdom. Anyway, we are just going to read it from the uncensored one, but although the Gemara discuss the killing of Jesus, make a reference to Jesus in Nazareth, it must note that the Talmud elsewhere in Sotah 47 also make reference to a heretic by the same name, and from the historical context of the passage, it is clear that it is not referring to Jesus, the founder of Christianity. In fact, some versions of the text here do not contain word the Nazareth. Nevertheless, as the incident recount here resulted in the persecution of Jews throughout history, it was often subject to censorship, and it's not found most published edition of the Talmud. Anyway, והתניא בערב הפסח תלאו לישוע הנוצרי, והכרוז יוצא לפניו 40 יום. ישוע הנוצרי יוצא להסתכל שכישף והסית והדיח את ישראל, כל מי שיודע לו זכות יבוא וילמד עליו, ולא מצאו לו זכות ותלאו בערב פסח, בערב הפסח. אמרו לה ותסברה ישוע הנוצרי בר הפוך זכותו, מסיתו, ורחמן אמר לו תחמול ולא תכסה עליו, אלא שנה ישוע דקרוב למלכות אבה. תנו רבנן 5 תלמידים היו לישוע הנוצרי, מתי נקי נצר ובוני ותודה. עתיוע למתי, אמר לו מתי יהרג, הכתיב מתי יבוא וראה פני אלוהים. אמרו לי אין מתי יהרג, דכתיב מתי ימות ועבד שמו. Only the idea is that he is connected to the kingdom. Anyway, עתיוע לנקי, אמר לו נקי יהרג, הכתיב ונקי בצדיק אל תהרוג. אמרו לו אין נקי יהרג, דכתיב במסתרים יהרוג נקי. עתיוע לנצר, אמר נצר יהרג, הכתיב ונצר משורשיו יפרע. אמרו לו אין נצר יהרג, דכתיב אתה השלחת מקרבך כנצר נתעב. עתיוע לבוני, אמר בוני יהרג, הכתיב בני בכור ישראל. אמרו לו אין בוני יהרג, דכתיב הנה אנוכי בורג את בנך בכורך. עתיוע לתודה, אמר תודה יהרג, הכתיב מזמור לתודה. אמרו לו אין תודה יהרג, דכתיב זובח תודה יכבדנני. page 43b. אמר רבי יהושע בן לוי, כל הזובח את יצרו ומתוודע עליו מעלה עליו, הכתוב כאילו כיבדו לקדוש ברוך הוא בשני עולמים. רבי יהושע בן לוי said that anyone who slaughter his evil inclination after it has tempted him to sin, if he repents and confesses his sin, so they said that they is like honor God in both worlds. העולם הזה והעולם הבא, this world and the עולם הבא, the afterlife, the world to come. דכתיב, the said in Tehillim in Psalm number 50, זובח תודה יכבדנני. Whoever slaughters a thanks offering, honor me, which can also be read, whoever slaughters his evil inclination and confesses honors me. And the two instances of the letter, nun, in the word יכבדנני, alludes to the two worlds. ואמר רבי יהושע בן לוי, בזמן שבית המקדש קיים, אדם מקריב עולה, שכר עולה בידו, מנחה שכר מנחה בידו. אבל משדעתו שפלה, מלא עליו, וכתוב כאילו הקריב כל הקורבנות כולם, שנאמר זבחי אלוהים רוח נשברה ולא עוד, אלא שאין תפילתו נמאסת, שנאמר לב נשבר ונדכה, אלוהים לא תבזה. So the Yismach Moshe said that the essence, the ikar, is the vidui, is the confession. The Ohr HaChaim HaKadosh said that Moshe Rabbeinu idlik nitzotz, he bring the essence, and then the rest is the act of the Teshuvah. The famous Kabbalist Reb Chaim Vital, student of the Arizal, said what the pasuk said, "Lirtzonchem tizbachu," which is the Yetzer Hara. You bring the Yetzer Hara as a korban to the Almighty. You see it also in the Baal Shem Tov writings, in the Rambam writings. The whole idea of a person have a desire to something, for example, desire for improper eating, tavat achila, and he is restraining himself. So it's like a korban, same way as awards. Person restrain himself. It's like bringing an offering. I remember my late grandfather, Rabbi Yehuda Tzvi ben Avraham Brandwein, he used, before he eats, he used to say, I'm eating not to for the desire, but to serve God better. So in the book Pnei Menachem, the great previous Ger Rebbe in Parashat Shoftim, he said that we, the children of Israel, are mekoravim lamalchut, same way, because the pasuk said Bnei Yisrael am krovo. So therefore 40 days before that, when the beginning of Rosh Chodesh Elul, which is a proper time now, the Karoz come and said, whoever knows the zechut, bring the zechut, to bring people to Tshuva, to find a zechut. Mishnah. היה רחוק מבית הסכלה ב10 אמות, אומרים לו התוודה, שכן דרך כל המומתים מתוודים, שכל המתוודה יש לו חלק לעולם הבא, anyone confess, have a portion in the world to come, שכן מצינו באחן שאמר לו יהושע בני שים נא כבוד להשם אלוקי ישראל ותן לו תודה. When Achan was found among the people who took the leftover from the city of Jericho, so Joshua said to him, you have sinned against God, so now come and express yourself and do the תשובה. ויען החן את יהושע ויאמר, אמנם אנוכי חטאתי וחזות וחזות, ומנין שכפר לו וידויו. How do you know that his act of conversion atoned for his sin? שנאמר ויאמר יהושע מה אחרתנו יאחרך השם ביום הזה. ביום הזה אתה אחור ותאחור לעולם הבא. So today you have the judgment, but not in the world to come. So the Rambam in Ilchot Sanhedrin chapter 13 said, when they condemn man, he is in a distance of about 10 cubits from the place of stoning. Those escorting him tell him to confess, as it's customary for those being executed to confess, since anyone who confesses has a portion in the world to come. If the condemned man does not know how to confess, they teach him to say, let my death be an atonement for all my sins. And it's a matter of fact that the name Achan, the second part of Aleinu Leshabeach, the Alken Nekaveh, its attribute to him. So you see also the Maharal that said in Netivot Olam, the whole idea of a person has subjugated his evil inclination and confesses. So that's basically the beginning of a new chapter and receiving a reward in the world to come. ואם אינו יודע להתוודות, אומרים לו, אמור תהם מיתתי כפרה על כל עוונותיי. If he doesn't know how to confess, or he doesn't remember other act of sins that the Prophet Israel said, so they said to him, just general, he said that my death will be atoned for my sins. רבי יהודה אומר, אם היה יודע שהוא מזומם, אומר תהא מיתתי כפרה על כל עוונותיי חוץ מעוון זה. If you know that it's based on the conspiring witness, it says that my death will be a confession for all my sin, excluding these transgressions. אמרו לו, the sages said to Rabbi Yehuda, אם כן, if we allow him to say it, יהוא כל אדם אומר כן כדי לנקות עצמו. So everyone can clear himself in the eye of public. So therefore, if the condemned man does not make such a statement on his own, the rabbinic code does not suggest to him as an alternative, because obviously it can be misconstrued, and Rashi said it can bring la'az, can bring bad mouth against the judges. So therefore you cannot suggest for him to say such a statement. The Rambam in Ilchot Sanhedrin said, even if the condemned man knows that the witnesses had testimony falsely against him, he should not deviate from the standard confession formula, in contrast to the minority opinion of Rabbi Yehuda.